Hello, everyone. I'm Mary O'Malley, and I'm a GTD coach.
And I'm Julie Ireland, and I'm a GTD coach.
And we are here today to talk about Horizon 5. And as Julie and I were prepping for this call, Julie shared a really cool story, and I'm hoping you will share it now for everyone.
I was telling Mary that I really struggled for years with anything above the project level. I just pushed aside. It felt too scary, and I had internal conflict about I'm not going to do it right. And I realized that it makes sense, right? Because once we get above the project level, things are less granular and they're less formulaic. And I had to kind of make it up, and I didn't know how to do that. And so I just didn't do it. And particularly with Horizon 5, like purpose and principles. So I tried for years to sit with a piece of paper and go, well, what's my mission? What's my purpose? And, all that did was cause more and more anxiety. And so, I went to the source, David Allen, thank you. And I was expressing how I don't know what my purpose is. And he said, well, why do you feel like you have to write a mission statement? Because in my head, my interpretation was you have to write something down, right? You have to externalize your thinking. And he was like, well, you're an artist. Why don't you do it in imagery? And I was like, oh. So I did just that. I took that as a creative assignment, which was so much easier for me than a mental, intellectual assignment. And I pulled some magazines together and images and words. And I created basically a vision board. It's really like when clients do a values exercise, you have to take everything that matters to you and narrow it down to 5. And I had that experience. I had 4,000 images, and I had to pick something that fit onto a board that was this big, and it was excruciating. But when I got to the end of that and I had this mirrored reflection of what I value, that really did it for me. And, that's not everyone's cup of tea. But for me, how I had to relate to that level was more in imagery than in an intellectual word capacity.
For some of us, myself included, you get stuck in the words. There's so many words that could describe the feeling or the vision that actually, if you could just go find the picture that reflects that feeling or that intention, then that's what you can do. And the other thing that you said that I want to really underscore is you thought you had to do it right. You thought you had to do it perfect. And that's the theme that is coming up in coaching, particularly with my clients in these last couple of weeks. I'm not sure what that's about, but it's definitely been a big theme lately. And there is not necessarily a perfect way to do GTD. There is perfect for you, but there's not this external perfect way. There's best practices.
There's intellectual perception and interpretation, and then there's doing it. They're connected, but they can be really different. My interpretation of Horizon 5 was I have to write a mission statement and I have to make a list. I've got to have a list of values, and I have to have my life purpose in a sentence. And that interpretation held me back from looking at this for years. No kidding. I just couldn't do it that way. I was so stuck. It was like I had peanut butter in my gas tank and the car just wasn't running. I would try to start it, and I had the intention, and I was feeling like I'm missing out on something here. All it took was David say, hey, why don't you make it a creative project? And my whole experience just started to become inspired about it. I have clients who have these wonderful purpose statements and company values and corporate values. And, the essence of all this is to reflect back what really matters to us, because at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, that's what we're making the decision on. What do I value most? What matters most? And so having any kind of external representation of that in those moments where we really need it is super, super helpful.
Agreed. So I think that what we stumbled in upon today sort of wonderfully, in my opinion, is to pause when you feel like you have to do it perfectly and then reflect back and ask, well, what's perfect for me?
Yeah.
And And if
And where's the path to freedom here? Because that's essentially
Yeah.
what GTD is, right? So I have an inner headmaster. I've talked about this, who is like, and then there's this like wild artist inside of me that is very much like not doing that. So I have to like sort of look at whose voice is running this conversation.
Yeah. Whose voice is that? Yeah.
What's your experience with Horizon 5? It's not like this for everyone, but I think most people do kind of a ground up. They get comfortable with this idea of next actions and projects as outcomes that I'm going to finish. And then they start leaning into areas of focus, goals, vision, and then purpose. So I'm curious what your experience was.
I was not comfortable with ground up. It didn't work for me. I kept having to go higher. And then that generated the next actions. A lot of us have the experience of, I'm doing these things, but what's my
Yeah.
purpose, right?
Yeah,
What's
for
my
the sake of
vision?
what? Yeah.
Yeah. And some of it is just because it's got to get done. Just, whatevs. You don't have to be over the moon about every
Yeah.
single thing on your next action list,
Yeah.
nor should you be. And I really needed that North Star. I really needed that internal moment from that Horizon 5 in order to generate those projects and next actions that were really going to give me some freedom and really going to move the needle for me in a way that I wanted my life to go. That wasn't just beyond a really flat gray to-do list.
That's so great. I haven't heard that before.
Well, yeah, I'm glad we're talking about it now.
Yeah. And it's a good reminder, right? Some people need to flip it over. It's got to be top down. Otherwise, you're going to have list upon list upon list that don't mean anything. Both are important. It's like, where do we start is wherever we need to start individually. I was really the opposite, Mary. It took me a long time to climb up that ladder, like went a little inch by inch. So it so delights me to hear that you had the other experience, which is so great.
When I started my GTD practice, I kind of started with reading the book sequentially forward to back, but then starting with the higher horizon and working my way down, I just experienced so much relief. I can easily generate tasks and next actions around all of the mundane, dry things. And I was never getting to what I wanted to be doing. I'm a mom of 2 kids and work full time. Like I sort of joke, I had to throw some elbows, to get to the next actions generated by higher horizons. I needed to get my list set up and I needed to get the methodology and the thinking down for sure. But popping up and coming down was what helped, because even if there was just one next action or one project that was generated from something higher, I was so lit up about it. And it made the things that I didn't really, want to do, it made me just feel more neutral about them. It put my whole system into perspective.
That's so great. I can imagine a lot of people watching this are going to do a nice, healthy exhale.
If you like this video, please subscribe if you haven't. Share with somebody who is doing GTD, maybe feeling a little stuck, or maybe they think in pictures as well, and comment in the chat below.
Bye for now.